Payne, and today we'll be talking about social media. Is all adaptation good? Adaptation in technology has helped us in many ways and transformed the way we live. It affects everything from driving to school, to buying something online with the click of a button, even to being able to learn anything you basically want to online. But is all of this helpful? Could it be that social media is actually bad for teenagers? First, I feel like we need to define what is social media. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it is a form of electronic communication such as website for social networking or microblogging through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content such as videos. By that standard, these are social media, but also this is social media. Games can also be social media as long as you're interacting with other people. And then also these things can be social media. Along with this, many other things can be social media, and if we spent all of our time talking, we'd still have more things to talk about for social media. There's just so many statistics. All of my statistics in this one area come from the Common Sense Census media used by Tweens and Teens from 2019. This study used 168 to 18-year-olds in the US. They're split up into two sections, tweens, which is 8 to 12-year-olds, and teens, which is 13 to 18-year-olds. For daily screen time, tweens spend on average 4 hours and 44 minutes per day. And for teens, they spend 7 hours and 22 minutes per day. When you think about this, it's really crazy. It's a ton of time, and this does not even include time spent on schoolwork. Smartphone ownership. By the age of 12, 69% of kids own phone, and by the time they're 15, 83% have already have a phone, and this number just keeps on increasing. 50% of parents monitor what their child actually does in their tween years, but by the time they become teenagers, only 26% of parents actually monitor what their children do. This leaves 60% of children with no parent monitoring, which basically gives them free access to anything in the world. Mental health. Mental health is a huge issue with social media. Depression is on the rise in our age group. And it has been proven that Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram all raise the chance of depression. In one study, they found that 6% of US and 13% of UK teens who were having suicidal thoughts claimed that their ideation was due to Instagram alone. Anxiety is another issue that's going rampant in our age group. And they have also found links to this in social media. This is partly to do with the environment that is created with social media, with everyone trying to put their best foot forward, and they're showing like this perfect life that they have, which in actuality is not accurate. But then kids see that and they want to act like that and they want to be like that, and it can cause anxiety. Along with this, it can raise the chance of social anxiety because they're not gaining all of the skill sets that you get in person, because they're doing most of their interactions online. Body image issues is another major issue. One survey using US and UK teens found that 40% started feeling unattractive when they started using Instagram. And Facebook, who owns Instagram, even said, "We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls in a presentation of corporate data." They literally admitted it. Eating disorders and obesity is another problem that is major for our age group. Social media puts out this image of a perfect body through ads or through pictures that have been modified that are not always the true, and can also lead to unhealthy, like trying to attain these perfect images. Also, the algorithms that they use can put kids down negative rabbit holes that just put them constantly looking at exercising and dieting and things like that. That is not always actually healthy. Also, loss of sleep can make kids more likely to have obesity, and having late night snacks because they're staying up and not being active can cause bad diets, which can also increase the chance of obesity. Sleep deprivation is another issue. With kids spending more time on social media than they are sleeping, it is becoming a big problem. Also, the light emitted from the devices can keep kids awake even though they're tired, because the light makes kids think the brain think it's daytime, and it keeps them awake. There are many problems that can be caused by sleep deprivation or make you more likely to get these. Some of these are depression, anxiety, PTSD, schizophrenia, obesity, cardiovascular disease, inability to focus, difficulty regulating emotions, and delayed reflexes. Also, we have viral challenges. While some of these things might not seem like a big deal and harmless, they are not always the case. Teenagers do things without always thinking things 100% through, and these can lead to life-altering injuries and even lead to death. These are just a few of them. Some of these, like the milk crate challenge, they've even tried to block this from their websites because kids have died from it. Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is arguably becoming one of the worst types of bullying that is happening. It's easier for kids to say things that they would never say in person online because they don't have to look these people in the eye when they're saying it. So they say crazy, terrible things that they would never say in person. Also, there is no escape. Whereas it used to be you would go home and you would at least have like a little break from it. When you go home with a phone in your pocket, it follows you. And even if you don't check it yourself, the whole world can still see the information they are posting every minute. Also, it is hard to track. If it were to happen at school, you could tell a teacher or something and the teacher could take care of it. But online, it's harder to do that. And even if you make them delete their profile or things like that, they can still create new ones, and it never ends. Cyberbullying can have deadly effects. It has caused many teens to commit suicide because they feel like there's no other option. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in teenagers, and cyberbullying plays a huge role in that. Sexting. While a lot of people think, oh, my kid would never do that, or I'm not going to do that, or I can trust these people, this is not always the case. One study showed that 1 in 4 of teens receive sext and 1 in 7 send it. And another study found that over 50% of teenagers sexted. This is illegal. It is not okay to send pictures of minors, and in some states it's even illegal to have pictures of yourself if you are a minor on your phones because other people can get a hold of this. If that's not enough for you, there's also been many times where kids have committed suicide because their picture has been blasted all over the internet and they feel like there is no escape from it. Human trafficking. As if sexting is not bad enough, human trafficking is another issue caused by social media. So first, I feel like we need to understand what human trafficking is. Human trafficking has to have force, fraud, or coercion, and also money or something of value must be involved. But if it is a minor with sexual acts for money or something of value, it is automatically human trafficking. It does not matter if they gave consent. If there is no such thing as a child prostitute. Obviously, when we think of human trafficking, we tend to think of sexual human trafficking, but that is not always the case. And it can include many things. It can include anything from agriculture to traveling sales crews to hospitality to healthcare. Anything that they can basically sell a human for can be used for that. Traffickers use social media to recruit individuals. They create romantic relationships or false business offers with illegitimate things like modeling or dancing or other job things to entice people to come to them, and then they take them. One study showed that 55% of domestic minor sex trafficking victims were first contacted online. Not only do they recruit people through social media, but they also sell. Social media companies do little to prevent or stop this, and some companies have even created encryptions which make it easier for them to operate. What about the experts? Now I understand. I'm a 17-year-old girl, and while I've done the research and I understand what I'm talking about, it's sometimes hard to trust teenagers. But I'm not the only one who's saying this. These creators and experts restrict the time that their children use screens or have stated concerns about kids and teenagers on electronics and social media. What should we do? Now, I get it. There are many positives to social media. It's not all bad. You can contact friends and family halfway across the world. You can learn new things or just get a laugh from videos of cats or babies or memes and things like that. So that's not all bad, but there are too many issues to just ignore it. So who's responsible? App and website designers, lawmakers, parents, and teenagers. Website designers need to change the algorithms. They need to make sure that kids aren't sucked down negative rabbit holes that will keep them constantly in contact with information that is harmful towards them. They should put time constraints or warnings that make sure that kids aren't spending obsessive time on social media. They should put safety parameters for underage users to keep them in safe positions. And they need to stop promoting the perfect body image, because there is no such thing as a perfect body image, and every person's body is perfect the way it is. They also need to do things to prevent sexting, and they need to prevent adults from engaging with adolescents on social media. Lawmakers, they need to create laws that prioritize human safety over financial gain for these companies. They need to write stricter and more concise laws about human trafficking, and they need to act more laws that penalize the spread of graphic image of minors. They need to also sponsor educational programs that will teach adolescents, parents, and the community about the dangers of social media. Parents, they need to have conversation with their kids about the dangers of social media. They need to set time limits for their children, and they need to monitor what their child is doing on social media, what type of media that they're using, and also the benefits or challenges to these types of apps or websites. They also need to be aware that every single child is different, and that you cannot just have one way of doing things, because if you have multiple children, they might need different parameters. And they need to help kids understand that what they see on social media is not always reality. Teenagers, you need to take responsibility for your actions and understand that what you put on social media will always be there. It is not going away. You need to understand your own needs mentally and physically, so that way you can create better, healthy parameters for yourself. You need to understand that social media profits off of you being on their apps, and they purposefully make it addictive for that reason. Also, you should never put personal information on the internet, and you should never meet up with someone that you meet online without someone who can protect you with you. And please never send compromising issues of yourself on social medias. And always be wary of strangers that are overly complimentary. They might have other motives for it. I get it, like I said, there are many benefits to social media, and we can't forget about the fact that there are dangers in it too. Everyone likes to say, oh, it'd never be me, or oh, it'd never be my child, or it'd never be one of my loved ones. But sadly, that is not the case. Almost every day there are kids dying because they felt like there was no escape. And almost every day there are pictures being blown all over the internet, and kids being cyberbullied, and many other things, and we just cannot forget about these dangers. There are so many families who are now mourning the loss of their child because they did not take safety parameters. Please keep in mind the difficulties, and we as a community need to make a difference. Thank you.